Hi, I'm testing the camera. I don't know. Hello. Welcome to my realm. I'm not just the resident vampire now. I'm the resident book baddie. I didn't come up with that. I also didn't call myself a vampire, but someone asked for me once. And apparently I'm not vampire girl because they didn't know my name. They're like, where's that vampire girl? And they're like, what? They describe me. Yeah, okay. Well, I have a fun video today, and that fun video is going to be the books in 2025 that I'm looking forward to. This list isn't exhaustive because, oh no, Charlie's at the door. Yeah, I'm making a video, Charlie. Oh, here's Charlie. Alright, so yeah, basically all I did is I went on Goodreads and looked at the 2025 books that are coming out, and I think that it was ordered based on how many have been shelved on the 2025 to read list. So I went through like the first 7 pages, because then everything after that was getting a little obscure. I can just add to the list in due time. Kill, switch, engage. To start my list, it is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. If you were here on the channel earlier, then you would know that I basically told you the entire plot of Rachel Gillig's One Dark Window book. I haven't read the sequel. I think I might. We'll get back to that because The Night and the Moth is another book by Rachel Gillig, and this one is the next big romantasy phenomenon, a gothic, mist-cloaked tale of a prophetess who is forced beyond the safety of her cloister of an impossible quest to defeat the gods with the one knight whose future is beyond her sight. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll like it, but you know, you never have to finish books. And then the next one is Rebel Witch, which is the second book in the Crimson Moth series. If you watched my All the Books I Read in 2024 video, you would know that I liked the first book of the series. It's titled The Crimson Moth in some countries, I think, or at least with the first publication, but then it was changed to Heartless Hunter. So I did like Heartless Hunter. It does read like a teen book, which isn't my favorite because I'm just not really a teenager anymore. You know, I want the complex, I want the vicious. So I do want to read the second book. The first book was about Rune Winters, who is a witch, and Gideon Sharp, this man who is a witch hunter. They basically are playing each other, that way they can benefit. Yeah, that's basically it. So in this one, Rune is on the run, and that's all I'm going to tell you in case you haven't read the first one. Then we have Emily Wilde's Companion of Lost Tales, which is the third book in Heather Fawcett's series. I actually haven't read the second one yet, so I should get on that. But if I do read that one, and then I will read the third one this year. Emily Wilde has spent her life studying fairies. She is a renowned druidologist, and she's documented hundreds of species of folk in her Encyclopedia of Fairies. Now she's about to embark on her most dangerous academic project yet. And I recommend the first one. It is kind of like a cozy fantasy, although it is more fantasy than romance in the romantic fantasy genre. I also don't find the male character that interesting yet, but we'll see. Hungerstone is a book I haven't heard of, and I also haven't really read or heard anyone review this author's work before, so I'm not perfectly sure if it's one that I will like, because a lot of the ones that I was seeing that came out in 2025, they were authors I recognize that I've read recently, so I know that I'll probably like them because I like their writing style or what they write about. So this one, it just looked very interesting, and it is a thrilling, seductive sapphic romance for fans of S.T. Gibson's The Dowry of Blood and Amelia Hart's Wayward, which I haven't read either of them. I don't really know anything about them. Hi! And so the premise is that Lenore is the wife of a steel magnate, Henry, but 10 years into their marriage, the relationship has soured and no child has arrived to fill the distance growing between them. Henry's ambitions take them out of London into the imposing Netherlands. Sorry, Nethersham Manor in the countryside, where Henry aims to host a hunt, society's finest. Lenore keeps a terrible secret from the last time her husband hunted. They never speak of it. It haunts their marriage to this day. I don't know. It says it's set against the violent wilderness of the moors and the uncontrolled appetite of the Industrial Revolution. It's a compulsive feminist reworking of Carmilla, the book that inspired Dracula, which I haven't read either, so I'm sorry. I did read like half of Dracula. Now this next one isn't one that I'm particularly anticipating. And I say that because when I was reading through this list, I was shocked to see it on there, so I had to talk about it. And this is Senlinyu's Alchemized. And if you know anything about the fanfiction world, you know that senlinyu has the most popular Dramini fanfiction of all time, Manacled, and it's being turned into a book. And I'm sure that's not very shocking for most people because we already know that fanfictions have been made into books before, namely Ellie Hazelwood's books, you know, like Raylo fanfiction getting published, and, you know, the romance world is becoming like independent authors getting picked up. But this was crazy because I saw the author's name and I was like, huh? I read the blip and yeah, I'm assuming, maybe it's a different storyline, but I'm assuming that it's literally Manacled but with the names changed. Because here is the premise, okay? In this riveting dark fantasy debut, a woman with missing memories fights to survive a war-torn world of necromancy and alchemy, and the man tasked with unearthing the deepest secrets of her past. What is it you think you're protecting in that brain of yours? The war is over, hold fast, it is dead. The eternal flame extinguished, there's no one left for you to save. So hold fast, Harry Potter. The eternal flame, the Order of the Phoenix. Once a promising alchemist, Helena Marino, Hermione Granger, is now a prisoner of war in her own mind. Her resistance friends and allies have been brutally murdered, her abilities suppressed, and the world changed destroyed. In the aftermath of a long war, Palladia's new ruling class of corrupt guild families and depraved necromancers whose vile undead creatures helped bring out the victory holds Helena captive. According to Resistance records, she was a healer of little importance within their ranks. If you know anything about this fanfiction world, you know the first line of Manacled. What is it? I think I can recite it on memory. She was a non-active member of the Order of the Phoenix. She was a non-active member of the Order of the Phoenix and did not fight. Look at that. This is literally... So honestly, I might buy it just to see what it looks like in published form. Time for me to move on. A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek. I literally have written this as a treasury of swans over and over again, and it is a treachery of swans. So this is an enthralling sapphic retelling of Swan Lake for fans of Alison Saft and V.E. Schwab, and the reason why I was looking forward to this mostly is because it's written by A.B. Poranek, and I read A.B. Poranek's Where the Dark Stands Still, and it's technically a young adult book, and I still enjoyed it. And it had a lot of atmosphere, it had a lot of je ne sais quoi, and I really liked it. I liked the magic. The romance was like not perfect, but when is it for me, honestly? So this is really interesting. Magic has long been outlawed in Ariel. Odile has always known she'd be the one to restore it. Raised by a sorcerer, Odile has spent years preparing for the heist of a lifetime. It's perfectly simple. Impersonate a princess, infiltrate the palace, steal the king's enchanted crown, and restore magic to the kingdom. But when the king is unexpectedly murdered, she's forced to recruit the help of Megradael, the real princess, and the two begin to unravel a web of lies and deceit that leaves Odile uncertain of who to trust. Soon, though, Odile must decide her mission or the girl she's falling for. The fate of the kingdom depends on her making the right choice. Okay, I'm a little nervous because I don't like V.E. Schwab, and I know the little thing was like, fans of V.E. Schwab, and I'm so sorry because I literally was so excited to read V.E. Schwab's works, and I read the first two books, and I read like the beginning of the third one, and it was just dragging through. The second one felt too much like a Hunger Games for me. It read like a teen book, even though it wasn't, even though it was her fantasy London book series, and I liked the idea of it a lot. I liked the main character. I didn't like the woman in it. I felt like it was so lackluster. There was no romance. And it was saying there was romance, but there wasn't any romance. And, so, whatever. But I did just read Alison Saft's sapphic romance, and I did like it. So I'm hopeful for a Treachery of Swans, especially because I liked one of A.B. Poranek's books already. Also, the cover of this looks very, very similar to A Dark Journey. Okay, there's never going to be a day where my camera doesn't die. So the cover looks eerily similar to cover for Alison Saft's book. So I'm really hesitant. Are these characters going to be extremely similar? Because you've got the long blonde and, you know, the short cropped hair. We'll see. The River Has Roots by Amal, el-mohtar. Follow the riverless to the small town of Thistleford, on the edge of Fairy, and meet two sisters who cannot be separated even in death. Right now I'm reading This Is How You Lose the Time War. It's right here. And I'm really liking it a lot. And I think that if you like cyber anime, you will like that book. Then we have The Unworthy by Augustina Bestareka coming out. Sarah Moses is the translator. And I just read Tender as the Flesh. And you'll see in my next video where I talk about all the books I've read this year that I really like Tender as the Flesh, even though it was horrifying. And I did not need to imagine a world like that. So The Unworthy is about a woman cloistered in a secretive, violent religious order while outside the world has fallen into chaos. Charlie. From her cell in a mysterious convent, a woman writes the story of her life in whatever she can find, discarded ink, dirt, and even her own blood. A lower member of the sacred sisterhood, deemed an unworthy, she dreams of ascending to the ranks of the enlightened at the center of the convent and of pleasing the foreboding superior sister, giving me Margaret Atwood vibes. Outside, the world is plagued by catastrophe. Cities are submerged underwater, electricity and the internet are non-existent, and bands of survivors fight and forage in a cruel, barren landscape. Inside, the narrator is controlled, punished, but safe. But when a stranger makes her way past the convent walls, joining the ranks of the unworthy, she forces the narrator to consider a long-buried past and what she may be overlooking about the enlightened. As the two women grow closer, the narrator is increasingly haunted by questions about her own past, the environmental future, and of her present life inside the convent. How did she get to the sacred sisterhood? Why can't she remember her life before? And what really happens when a woman is chosen as one of the enlightened? A searing dystopian tale about climate crisis, ideological extremism, and the tidal pool of our most violent, exploitative instincts. This is another unforgettable novel from a master of feminist horror. Wow. And then this book I've never heard of. I haven't ever heard of the author, but it looks so beautiful, and I think it's a young adult, which that doesn't mean I'm not gonna like it, but it does mean that it's probably not gonna come out being my favorite thing ever. And it's called Tenderly I Am Devoured. And I didn't write the author. The author is Lyndall Clipstone. And it says it's perfect for fans of Saltburn for the Wolf and House of Hollow, which I haven't heard of any of these, so maybe it's not for me. It says it's a moody, monstrously gothic, which I love. I love gothic romantasy, in which a young woman must bind herself to a dangerous chthonic demon with the help of the son of a rival family to save her family's legacy and herself from ruin. This sounds like the perfect book. This sounds right up my alley. Right up my Victorian gothic alley. But it's fantasy, horror, romance, gothic, young adult romantasy. It's also LGBT. Everything I'm reading is lesbian. This is sapphic romance? Yes, it is. There's just so much stuff to read. Anyway, it's expected in July, so. Do I look weird sitting like this? I actually don't care. Oh, there's more. Expelled from her prestigious boarding school following a violent incident, 18-year-old Lacrimosa Ariscane returns home in disgrace to discover her family on the point of financial ruin. Desperate to save them, she accepts a marriage of convenience to Theron, the chthonic god worshipped by Lark's isolated coastal hometown. Nothing like getting yourself into a demon wedding, am I right? But when her betrothal goes horribly wrong, Lark begins to vanish from the mortal realm. Her only hope is to seek help from Alistair Belamath. I love the name Alistair, by the way. Listen, horribly embarrassing, but there was this book on, like, iBooks. I read it on my iPod, and it was terrible. It was a terribly written book, but I was obsessed with it. I loved it. It was something like The Black Knight or something. And I wrote a review on it with my Gmail account when I was like in 6th grade. And I was like, OMG, this is the best book ever. And my spelling was so bad. I'm sure the author was like, oh my God, why'd you write that? I'm so embarrassed. Oh, that scared the crap out of me. My cat just opened the door. What was I saying about the book though? Oh yes, the main character's name was Alistair. And I thought that he was so cool. Oh, I thought he was so cool, man. Okay, anyway. Back to business. Her only hope is to seek help from Alistair, the brilliant, arrogant boy who was her first heartbreak, and his alluring older sister, Camille. As the trio delve into the folklore of gods, Lark falls under the spell of Felmath siblings. Ensnared by a fervent romance, they perform a bacchanalia. Oh my God. This is the one with the bacchanalia. I was like, secret history where? with hopes the hedonistic ritual will repair the connection between Lark and her bridegroom. Instead, they draw the ire of something much darker which seeks to destroy Theron, and Lark as well. How is this young adult when they're performing Bacchanalia? Do I know what Bacchanalia means? Yeah, I know what that means. Okay. I'm just making sure. Weird. Anyway, the design of the cover is beautiful. Then we have We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. I loved Bunny, so I'm so excited. When I saw this, I was like, what? A second one? Because we don't need a second one, but I'll take it. I'll take it. So, if you didn't know what Bunny is about, the first book. Bunny is a down-the-rabbit-hole tale of loneliness and belonging, friendship and desire, and the fantastic and terrible power of the imagination. It's basically about this girl that's in university, in a writing class, and there's this group of girls who only refer to each other as Bunny, and they're like, oh my gosh, Bunny, you look so cute today, Bunny. What are we gonna do today, Bunny? And it's like really cool. Very well written. So, Samantha Heather Mackey, a lonely outsider student at a highly selective MFA program in New England, was first ostracized and then seduced by a clique of creepy, sweet, rich girls who call themselves Bunny. An invitation to the Bunny Smut Salon leads Samantha down a dark rabbit hole, pun intended, into the violently surreal world of their off-campus workshops, where monstrous creations are conjured with deadly and wondrous consequences. Yeah, this is very interesting. I didn't think that it needed a sequel, so I'm really interested to see where this goes. Mark Lawrence came out with his sequel this year, and I still haven't read the first one. I'm sorry. I loved Mark Lawrence's trilogy, the Broken Empire trilogy, when I was in middle school. It was amazing. I read it so fast. I love this book. It was my favorite book forever. Prince of Thorns was my favorite book forever. So I really wanted to read Mark Lawrence's new book. He has a new series, a new trilogy about books. So The Book That Wouldn't Burn is the book that came out, and The Book That Broke the World is the one that came out this year in 2025, literally like 2 weeks ago or something, I don't know. So it's about a boy who has lived his whole life trapped within a vast library, older than empires and larger than cities, and a girl has spent hers in a tiny settlement out of the dust where nightmares stalk and no one goes. The world has never even noticed them, and that's about to change. Their stories spiral around each other, across worlds and time. This is a tale of truth and lies and hearts, and the blurring of one into another. A journey on which knowledge erodes certainty, and on which, though the pen may be mightier than the sword, blood will be spilled and cities burned. So I'm really excited. I definitely want to read that. But there's so many books to read. So I just finished quite a few of them, and I just started a beautiful manga, and of course I have to give credit to Talia. I have to thank Talia for telling me to read Akatsuki no Yona if I enjoyed Basara, and I did. Sorry, that was so loud. And I did. So I started, I think I might be on like maybe the second or third volume now, because I'm reading it online, and I'm really loving it. I don't know. I think Basara will still take the cake, but there's time to see. There's time to see. I am really loving it. So thank you. And then, like I said, I'm reading This Is How You Lose the Time More. It's so short. Like, I'll have it done in no time. So look out for my next video where I talk about all the books that I've read in 2025 so far. And if you have any suggestions of what I should read in 2025, or books that are coming out in 2025, or especially manga, because on Goodreads it didn't show me any manga, so I may have to investigate that as well. And of course I'm always reading things that aren't just published this year, but let me know your thoughts down below. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. Welcome to all my new subscribers. And many thanks again to my Chaos Lord Patreon member, Eric. If you're a Chaos Lord, you get your name at the end of the videos. And on my Patreon, you get behind the scenes and know what I'm reading up to date. Know what I'm currently reading when I finish books, what I'm thinking, etc. But whatever. Alright, thank you for joining me. Bye.
Right.